Just before we get started, I'll go through the meeting's protocol for this evening. We have 3 applications that are on the agenda, 2 new ones and 1 continuation from previous meeting that we'll be hearing tonight. Just a little housekeeping rules before we start. If anyone has cell phones, which includes myself, prior to starting, if you can put them on mute or silent mode or turn them off, it'd be great. If asking questions to a presenter or of committee or of staff, please address your questions through the chair, not directly to the person being questioned. First order of business will be to ask any committee members if they have conflicts of interest with any of the applications this evening. And then we'll ask for any applicants for deferrals or withdrawals of applications that are on the agenda this evening. Following that, the applicant or the agent for the applicant will be asked to come forward. They can go to the podium on my right, your left if you're in the audience, and they can add any additional comments that they wish to at that time. The Secretary Treasurer will read out each application as we go that's on the agenda with a brief staff description and recommendation. Members of the committee will then have the opportunity to ask the applicant any questions that they might have, followed by any members of the public that wish to speak to an application. Do we have anyone online today? We don't have anyone online today, but if we did, they would be able to be brought into the meeting at that time. Following all comments, the applicant will be afforded some closing comments if desired. The committee will then present a decision in the form of a motion. The motion will be discussed and voted upon. If a vote is tied, a motion will be defeated and a new motion will be made. If a motion is defeated, new motions will continue to be made until we have reached a decision. Notices of decision will be provided to those persons who leave their name and addresses in writing with the Secretary Treasurer. For those in attendance, there should be a sign-in page at the back of the room for that purpose. For anyone watching at home or online, they can email Taya at Taya, T-A-Y-A, period, T-A-R-A-B-A at portcolborne.ca, or you can call 905-288-8124 immediately following the hearing and request to be added to that list of notices. So with that, that is the application or the agenda for the meeting this evening. So with that, I'll look for any conflicts of the new applications. Eric, I will note your conflict on the one for application 2324 PC, as that is a continuation of previous ones, and you've noted it previously, so I'll acknowledge that at this point. So if there's no one else, is there any request for deferrals or withdrawals of applications of the 2 new ones this evening? Not seeing any. So with that, Madam Secretary, the first application, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the agenda tonight, we have 3 minor variance applications. Notice of the applications were circulated to the public on October 29th. The required agencies received notice of the applications on October 15th. A recommendation report for each application was prepared by planning staff and made publicly available on November 8th. All correspondence received by November 8th were addressed in the recommendation reports. Those interested can view the recommendation reports online on the city's website or in person at City Hall. Those interested may also contact planning staff in person, by email, or over the phone to obtain a copy of the reports. Accommodations for alternative methods of viewing or obtaining the recommendation reports are available upon request. Please note that the zoning bylaw currently in effect is the City of Port Colborne zoning bylaw 6575/30/18 as amended, which will henceforth be referred to as the zoning bylaw. Our first application tonight is minor variance application A2524 PC for the lands municipally known as 88 Tennessee Avenue, located in the first density residential zone as established in the zoning bylaw. The solicitor Christopher Wilson, on behalf of the owners James and Kim Kendrick, are requesting relief from the provisions of the zoning bylaw to permit the location of an accessory structure in proximity to a property line, notwithstanding the following: that an interior side setback of 0.07 meters be permitted, whereas a maximum of 1 meter for an accessory structure is required, that the rear yard setback of 0.44 meters be permitted, whereas a maximum of 1 meter for an accessory structure is required. Given the information in the recommendation report, planning staff recommend application A2524 PC be granted, as the application is minor in nature, it is appropriate for the development of the site, it is desirable and in compliance with the general intent and the purpose of the zoning bylaw, and is desirable and in compliance with the general intent and purpose of the official plan. That concludes the correspondence for this application.
Thank you. Is the applicant here this evening? There's a red button on that gray bar on the table in front of you that will activate the microphone. That's the one. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Christopher Wilson, I'm the solicitor for the applicants. I think it's fairly clear. The background story is that my client constructed the building in 2006 pursuant to a permit. It replaced an earlier structure, which, as far as he recalls, it was essentially in exactly the same location. So but there was no survey done. He worked from a marker he thought was the lot corner, wasn't, and it turned out that the accessory garage is too close to the side lot and to the rear lot line, which is a laneway. The laneway is used very infrequently. It's not an issue of access or imposing on it. It's been that way for almost 20 years. Any questions? I can respond.
Thank you. Any questions?
Through your chair to Mr. Wilson. I was going to ask the question, who built the garage and why it obviously has been there for a number of years, and it's like, why is this just coming to committee now?
Was sold. Actually, it has now been sold, and it came up. The property was put on the market, sold. The buyer had a survey done, and that's when the first time it turned up that the error was there. So the property has been sold on the undertaking by the previous owners that they would apply for and obtain the minor variance. If it doesn't get approved, then there are other consequences that they've negotiated with their buyer.
Through your chair, I didn't really want to ask what the catalyst was that set off this, but now that you've mentioned it, that sets the whole thing straight. So thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions? The only question I have on the drawing, I have to say I didn't walk all the way around the garage. There's a shed. Is that still existing?
I realize that there's two drawings. The one that's at the front of the application was an earlier version. If you scroll through to the end of the applicant, you will see the sketch was revised. The shed has been moved. It's the short answer.
Okay.
Moved from the property line, and that is on the version of the drawing, which is right at the end of the application. So there was an earlier application, was the survey done by the buyer. When we realized we needed the minor variance, the shed was moved and the surveyor reattended, and the updated survey is attached to the application.
Okay, very good. I was just looking at the one that was just our sketch on the website. That's fine.
They look almost the same, but they're different.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No other questions or comments? Is there any members of the public that wish to speak to this application? Sir, if you could, just if you could just come up to the side there, just so we can get your name and address for the record.
Sorry, this might come out to be a dumb question, but. Oh, yeah, trust me, I'm a pro at that. My name is Gino Stinziani. I'm at 2591 Fire Lane 3. And it's just purely out of, it says on the application that an interior side setback of 0.07 meter be permitted, whereas a maximum of 1 meter for an accessory structure is required. Shouldn't it be a minimum of 1 meter?
You are correct, yes.
Thank you. Sorry.
Any other questions or comments from the public? Not seeing any. I'm assuming Mr. Wilson doesn't wish to have any further comments. Gary?
No, sorry.
We move it? That's fine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With respect to application A25-24PC, and in the matter of part of Lot 68 on Plan 3761, on new Plan 776, 88 Tennessee Avenue, the minor variance application A25-24PC be granted for the following reasons. 1, the application is minor in nature. 2, it is appropriate for the development of the site. 3, it is desirable in compliance with the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. And 4, it is desirable in compliance with the general intent and purpose of the official plan.
Thank you. Can we have a seconder, Angie? I will note that both, I think 1 and 2 are supposed to be minimums.
Yeah.
just for the record of clarity. So with that minor little tweak, any other questions or comments? All those in favor? That'll be carried. Thank you. As you know, there's still a 20-day waiting period that you have to go through, but thank you. Madam Secretary, the next application, please.
Our next application tonight is minor variance application A2724PC for the lands municipally known as 280 Omer Avenue, located in the first density residential zone as established in the zoning bylaw. The owners, Dominic and Lindsay Benincasa, are requesting relief from the provisions of the zoning bylaw to permit an increase in the height of an accessory building, notwithstanding the following: that an accessory building height of 7.62 meters be permitted, whereas a maximum of 6 meters is required. Given the information in the recommendation report, planning staff recommend application A2724PC be granted, as the application is minor in nature, is appropriate for the development of the site, is desirable and in compliance with the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw, and is desirable and in compliance with the general intent and purpose of the official plan. That concludes the correspondence for this application.
Thank you. Is the applicant here this evening for this one? Please feel free to come to the right there. Again, there's a little red button in front of the bar there to turn on the mic, and you can add any other comments you wish to at this time.
Hello, everyone. The reason why the height difference is I have quite a bit of vehicles that I store, and also a motorhome that I'm purchasing, so I like to keep things inside. That's the reason why I want the extra height. Other than that, I have nothing else to add.
Very good. Any questions or comments of the applicant? The only question I have is, generally when we get an application, the sketch that's attached is where you propose to put the building, as opposed to the actual building. So with that, I'm going to assume that it's going to stay within the appropriate setbacks that's required. Typically, we would get a sketch of where you propose to put it. I'm assuming you're going to try to put it as far back as you can and to the westerly side as far as you can. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes.
So it'd kind of end up behind, because I think your property goes like 2 back from the ones on West Side Road.
Yes.
So the commercial, and then we're just past the other one. So, okay. That was the only question I had, and the only other comment I have, not necessarily to the applicant themselves or the owner, it's really about the MTO stipulation about a building permit. Believe it, I was not aware that, within an intersection of a highway, it looks like a 500-meter radius, approximately. Is that a fair statement? I just was something new that I never seen before, and I really find it hard to believe that basically every house in our subdivision would be in that realm, that they would all need building permits from the MTO. Is that fair? Is that correct?
Through yourself, to yourself. There is a mapping tool available on the MTO's website to show you exactly which properties would require permits. So there are just a lot of properties in their permit control area, but they're typically not too onerous to get a permit or an approval from the MTO, so it shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, like I said, I did go to that too, because in that letter that you got from the MTO, you can click on the link and it takes you to that site. And I was kind of shocked at how far back, and like it's basically almost all the way over to Steel Street, just short of Steel Street, which was really surprising. Anyway, I don't know if that's ever really came up before. The only time I can remember that ever coming up is when there was a property that was directly on a major highway, or an Ontario highway. So anyway, that was the first time I've seen it elsewhere, but anyway, it's no biggie. Is there any members of the public that wish to speak to this application? I'm assuming no. So with that, do we have a recommendation? Angie?
I would be happy to move that. Application A27-24-BC, lot number 28 on Plan 60 on New Plan 819 in the city of Port Colborne, known as 280 Omer Avenue. That the minor variance application A27-24-PC be granted for the following reasons. 1, the application is minor in nature. 2, it is appropriate for the development of the site. 3, it is desirable and in compliance with the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. And 4, it is desirable and in compliance with the general intent and purpose of the official plan.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder? Dave? Questions or comments? All those in favor? That'll be carried. There is a 20-day waiting period, but following that, you should be able to apply for a permit after that. You might even be able to start the process sooner, but you won't get it until after the 20 days. Okay? Thank you. And so I'll go to the third item on here, and Eric, I'll save you the leaving of the room. I will note your conflict here, but just prior to this hearing this evening, we did receive an email from the applicant officially withdrawing their application for the minor variance. So at this point in time, this committee will consider that application now closed. I believe it was being dealt with at the zoning bylaw amendment, which I believe was heard last night at the council. So therefore, it's out of our realm going forward, and we'll consider that matter closed. So with that, the only other thing we have is other business. Does anyone have any other business? Not seeing any. I'll look for a mover of the October 9th Committee of Adjustment minutes, as well as there was a slight correction to the September 9th meeting minutes. Angie? Eric? Questions or comments? All those in favor? That'll be carried. And with that, I'll consider our hearing adjourned. Did you have something meeting-wise?
Yes.
Sorry.
Through you, wasn't there...
I'll reconvene our meeting for your question.
Wasn't there a item on the agenda regarding the schedule?
Oh. How did I not see that? Oh, jumping. Sorry, my apologies. I jumped right by that. Yes. So I did ask to have that prepared for this meeting for next year, just in case we don't have a December meeting. As well as I think usually the deadline for applications would be right around our next meeting. So I do have that. So if anyone's had a look at it, I believe it's staying the second Wednesday of every month. Did you change January? With the exception of January. Same time, 6 o'clock works for everyone? Okay. So with that, I'll get a mover and a seconder. Sure. Question.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to probably Taya. Do we put deadline dates to get applications in order to be heard for those hearing dates? Okay, I'm used to other municipal, like, is it shown in that particular format as what's in our package, or is there just something else that goes on the website?
Through the chair to Member Beauregard. There's not necessarily anything posted like on the website or anything regarding like the deadlines for dates. That's something that we can absolutely do. The deadline is something new that we've kind of implemented in regards to when people need to have their applications in by. That's something I can absolutely share with the rest of the committee if that's something you guys would also like to be privy to. But it's something that we've recently made in terms of things that we're kind of adhering to just for efficiency and just to make sure we're kind of on top of things. So in terms of that documentation, it's literally just a simple Word doc I'd be happy to send to you.
Through, I just think it would be beneficial to applicants to just know when they can expect their item to go on and it be posted and clear. So, and I know other municipalities like St. Catharines and most municipalities do it where they have a submission deadline to get onto a certain hearing date. Although you're not guaranteed to go on that hearing date, it just gives them an idea when they can expect. So if we can do that, that'd be great.
Very good. And now that you brought that up, there was something else that came up last meeting, was a draft protocol for the hearing. Is Tay going to work on getting us a draft? So we did ask, you had already left at that point, but staff was going to prepare a draft based on other municipalities with regards to hearing protocols and how we address applications and public input and all that kind of stuff, and inspecting properties and whatever else. So we're going to get a draft for ourselves. We can review it, look at it, and basically adapt it from this committee, and then we can push that forward afterwards to get it adopted officially.
Through you. On that item, I'd recommend that to reach out to the OCA. Is that how you say it? OACA. I said OACA. I think they say OCA. Anyways, just reach out to them because I know there was discussion at the last seminar regarding procedures and the usefulness of it. So if you reach out to them, I'm sure they could be a huge resource for us.
I think if you go on their website, they actually have 3 samples already on their website, or they did. I know they just got a notice of a new website configuration, but they did have 3. Quickly looking at the 3, there was one that's probably fairly close to what we would need. There's one that's basically 1 page, and then there's one that's about 35 pages. But it covers everything from applications to everything else. But the one that's kind of the mediocre one, I think, is just really specific to the committee hearings and how we run the hearings and so on and so forth. So. All right. So with that, I'll go one more time. Any other business? None? Okay. So with that, I will again adjourn our hearing this evening. Thank you.